So let's start with something really simple, really basic that I mean, it's kind of low hanging fruit. And I really want to encourage people to think beyond, like, for example, content generation with AI, but it's not that simple, right? Because like everyone thinks of content generation, I'm sure, right? All your
Yeah.
clients think about content generation, but
Low-hanging fruit.
right, low hanging fruit, but like it's more complex than that, right? Because what happens is here's how you don't want to happen. Everyone has needs, right? The demand gen people need to write emails, the content people need to write white papers, the paid media folks need to generate imagery plus, ad copy. And we're like, great, we'll just find an AI thing to help us with that. But from a technology and from a outcomes perspective, one, all of those different groups have slightly different outcomes,
Mhm.
right? Slightly different OKRs. If you think about it from a strategic, like a technical perspective, if I like look at it as a product manager, right, of my domain, right? Generating an image is very different than generating derivative image, which is
Yeah.
very different than like making sure that we are brand compliant, which is very different than writing email copy to different personas, which is very different than writing long form copy. And what's the input? Is the input like a raw, this is our play, this is our positioning, this is the positioning and messaging that we usually get from product marketing? Or is it, "Hey, I have outputted a version and I need you to version it. I need you to translate it into different languages." Every single one of those variations is a different skill set.
Yeah.
Why on earth would you use the same tool for it? You
Yep.
wouldn't, but, like, this is part of the new right, there's the new part of it, which is, "Hey, we hadn't had think about this like this because 'cause we're just like,
Wow.
"Oh, we just throw an AI at it and it would solve all of it," and it's not, like, even generating images, there are different models that are different skill sets that can do different things. Imagery is not the same.
Well, I think what you're talking about is slowing down to go fast too, and
Exactly.
making sure that everything is in place to make that happen. Do you have an example, that in one of the incredible brands that you've worked with, because you are, with some doozies, some incredible companies in the world, quite frankly. Do you have example, of a situation where the plumbing was getting, there were some screws missing and, you really, really needed to firm things up in order to get the entire program to flow a little bit better?
Oh, for sure. I mean, like, my specialty is really around global digital transformations with marketing technology, and so, like, both from a, hey, being sitting in the seat of, like, being at a brand, and then now being at Adobe and helping so many brands achieve that, there there is it is literally the thing that everyone's trying to do. If you think about it right now, if you weren't in a transformation, everyone's trying to do a transformation, and a lot of times people are doing even before AI, people are trying to transform, to how they're engaging. And it really, I think the ones that are successful start with one, the holistic picture.
Yeah.
Two, it starts with a data platform where everything runs through because it is if you're trying to do the other way around, which is, hey, let me just like random, like, hodgepodge, try to buy
Uh,
pieces together and then try to stitch it together, right? It's like going and buying like 10 different pipes that, are
yeah,
like,
well,
right?
they're looking at the tool they're looking at tools instead of outcomes. I mean, they've got everything backwards that way.
Exactly, and it always starts with outcomes, but
Yeah.
where I see kind of it's like where the misses versus, like, where the best practice is really translating, the outcomes, right, from the CMO and the C-suite, those outcomes to, translating those outcomes, the gap is really around in this, like, this middle layer, the hamburger, like, the meat of
Yeah.
it, which is the strategic there's a strategic element to it that
Yeah.
in the technology,
Yeah.
where that's where it's like, "Oh, we want to do this, we want to transform, we want to incorporate AI, we need to drive, 30% year-over-year growth. Here's the tool, you have people, go." And I'm like, "There's
What
the there's
Yeah.
strategy, the strategy in here that is missing."
Mhm.
That when you have the right people, when you have the right ways of working with those teams, that is, you go right for success, and then when you're like, we have to, kind of why do transformations fail? I mean, this is even before AI. If you look at the analyst reports or just the studies that are out there, you see anywhere from like 50 to 70% of transformations fail.
Yeah.
Um, that was before all the AI.
So,
Right.
what is the litmus test for making sure that you are on strategy? I mean, you're talking about a lot of people and a lot of tools that, you know, that ultimately meet from either top down, bottom up to that hamburger, that strategic layer. So, what is that litmus test? What is the go to approach that you've seen work really, really well within organizations so that everyone can go about their day making sure that they are on strategy?
I think there's a couple of key principles or operating principles that I've seen, right? Which is one, dedicated initiatives around transformation. This is not someone's actual extra job, right? You have
Right,
people that are like run the business, keep the lights on, and a lot of times been there, done that. We're like, oh, on top of that, you will also do this
right,
transformation, right? So that's very challenging when you have to do both, right? Not every company or every brand has the luxury of doing, having a separate team, but
right.
like something right from here to here, something in between. The second thing is a mindset on like on KPIs and outcomes.
Mm,
Times, especially with AI, especially with investment. With AI, we are in experimentation and failing fast mode. I also come from a life sciences background. So, like in the pharmaceutical world, we're all about like drug discovery, fail, fail fast, learn, go, move fast,
yep,
right?